So I'm cutting out any bad sealant or excess sealant. There's a lot of sealant that's kind of protruding out because it formed around the back side of a piece of rubber trim that had a tab on the back of it, and so there's some excess sealant that's just kind of poking out, and I'm going to cut that off, give me room to add some fresh sealant and clean up anything I can. Blow this out with an air compressor, degrease, pressure wash, and then reseal. Everything is pretty good except for this area. This area is really bad. The sealant has failed and water can get up in there. So I'm cutting out any bad stuff and opening things up so I can clean behind it. This actually, a lot of this is still really fresh. I think this might have been replaced at some point, but they must have skipped over an area or something. Both windows are still very secure. These are bonded in windows, meaning they're held in by sealant. And there was no supportive or structural strips here. It was just a little rubber decorative piece, protected the seams. For right now, I'm just gonna reseal things, and later on when the windows get replaced, or professionally resealed at least, I'm gonna aim for replacing them though. So we're gonna save up and replace them later, and when these get pulled, we'll do a much better job cleaning and repairing. So we're just gonna do a reseal after I cut out this bad stuff. Get to the rust as much as I can. I'll leave the good stuff because yeah, this stuff is still this stuff's really fresh. So not too much work. I'm not removing any of the sealant that's actually holding the window in. I just want to get this excess type stuff. Open it up so I can clean and get some new sealant in there. All right, got the inside of the window cleaned up really good on each side, so I can go and seal the interior seams first. That way I can pressure wash the outside. I think this needs a little more aggressive cleaning for all the little bits that might still be left in there. I'm thinking I can seal the inside and keep a whole bunch of water from spraying in if I seal it really good. So let's do that first. This all turned out pretty good too. Run around with the X-Acto blade and just cut a V and pulled out a good chunk. So I've got lots of room and surface area to apply some new sealant. Nice good sized gap that I can fill in all the way around. Top was pretty difficult to get into, but I got it. Just enough room to get in there. All right, both windows sealed up really good. With some fat beads going along the tops, sides, and the bottom. Went ahead and smoothed out the bottom so there's no way for, moisture to dribble down from the windows. It's pretty dumb they don't do that in the first place. I mean, they just left a little trough where water can just collect from, you know, like in the morning when for moisture to collect on the windows, trickles down, sits in that trough, rusts things out. So I smoothed over that bead. These beads are just in there, just good and thick. Also caulked these edges because there's like a piece of angle trim right there, and I can see light through it going outside, so I sealed that up too. It won't stop the leak from the outside, it'll just trickle down and come out the bottom. But when I pressure wash, I didn't want a bunch of water spraying in this direction, so figured I'd go ahead and seal those up as well. Those very thin seams going along the edge of that angle right there. And I'm pretty happy with that. I'm thinking that'll probably pretty much stop all the leaks and will add a bunch of support for the windows. Alright, scrubbed out all these tracks really good with some IPA and a brush and air compressor. Blew out the excess rubbing alcohol, so that should be all cleaned up really good. I'm going to let that dry or make sure that all evaporates really well. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and replace some of my air fittings. These are 3/8 inch lines, so these fittings are a little bit bigger than this line by about 1/2 millimeter, and they will leak if you put any pressure on them. So they're not quite the right size. So I'm gonna go ahead and swap out these 10 millimeters. Look at the size marking on the ring there with some 3/8. Just ordered in these. We got a T, 290s, and I also got some check valves, 3/8 inch. Alright, got those fittings replaced with some proper 3/8 inch fittings. I had a check valve, but that was 10 millimeter. That's what keeps happening with these fittings, is I order 3/8, but they sent 10 millimeter. It's close, but it is not the same thing. So that got returned. So now everything is 3/8, including the line. I'll look for some check valves later, but I want to put a check valve on this line so air doesn't leak out of the airbags, just in case this tank ever loses pressure for some reason. So I'll get another one ordered and deal with that later. All right, got all the seams recalked. Not very pretty, but I'm real happy with that. It's good seeing everything resealed. And I didn't expect to caulk over my screws, or screw the mount, the metal mount brackets, but I started thinking there's probably very little chance I'll be taking this off. And this is all sealed up anyway. I was trying to put this on with the intent that it could be easily taken off, so I did a couple things differently, like welding the nuts on the back side of these screws so they could come out without having to take the dash out. But I can get in. I mean, it's a pretty open area in there, so there's, yeah, very little chance I'm going to be taking this cap off. So I just sealed everything up, and I'm real happy with that. Caulked inside, caulked outside, fully sealed. Should be no more leaks. And this will clean up a bit better too once I'll mask this off, and this will get painted gray, so some of this will get hidden. This sloppiness down here. Caulked real good on the top. Probably can't see that too much in the shadow there. All right, the front cap is all prepped and ready for a coat of paint. Used a bunch of automotive primer to cover up the sticky parts on these stripes. I didn't feel like scraping everything off. This might look kind of bad where the chunks are missing, but that farm and implement paint goes on so thick, I think it'll be okay. And besides, these lines will help me mask off new lines later on. I think black stripes would look really good on this. I'm going with the black and gray look on this. I was thinking at one point I might go back to Winnebago colors, but I think I will try black stripes first. Might just stick with that. Might just stick with the black and gray, just to keep things simple. But yeah, these could have been cleaned up better, but I really don't care. You can see there's actually like 3 layers of paint here. There's 1, 2, 3. But anyway, the automotive primer did I did a test spot, and the automotive primer did a good job of adhering to the adhesive that was left behind after pressure washing. There's a lot of sticky areas. Wasn't sure if the farm and implement would stick to it too well, so I just tried some of the automotive primer and it did pretty good. Gonna hit these spots also with some I got some self-etching primer for this shiny chrome plated metal. I'll make sure those get a good coat of paint, just in case those have a chance to rust up in the future. You want to make sure those are good and painted. Also finally found a competent seller that knows the difference between 3/8 and 10mm. Got me a proper 3/8 inch check valve. Let's go ahead and put that on. Got a little symbol here, kind of weird. Instead of just an arrow, it's showing you a check ball symbol and which way the air needs to go to operate it. Kind of makes it look like that's an arrow pointing that way, but it actually needs to go that way. Pressure needs to flow that way to open the valve. So let's just put it right about here. Should already be depressurized, I think. We'll double check. Yes. There you go, nice tight fit, unlike the 10mm. 10mm is just a little bit bigger. All right, that will keep air from flowing out to the bags, back into the tank. If there's ever a leak back there, this will keep things pressurized, keep my shocks supporting the back end of the RV. Not a huge deal. It wasn't an issue before. It's just a peace of mind thing. Whenever I would drain or bleed the air out of the tank to remove moisture, the back end would drop, and it just kind of made me worry that if there's ever an issue, if the line ever breaks or something happens back here, other than this thing's just gonna slam down, and that'll prevent that. Maybe not slam down, but it'll drop pretty quick. There's ever an issue, so 3/8 inch all around. 3/8, 3/8, 3/8, 3/8 inch line, 3/8, everything's 3/8. Just like I wanted, just like it should have been. But I kept getting 10mm when I ordered 3/8, so I started paying attention to that, and I'll keep an eye on that from now on. Whenever I order push to connect airline fittings. think the next thing I want to do is add a pressure gauge on this somewhere, or maybe I can do that in the cab once I add an air supply for that. Sure does like to shake though. I think I might make a more sturdy mount for all this at some point, or maybe just attach this somewhere else. It'll be fine for a year or two, but it'll be a project I could do down the road. But yeah, that's working good. Now I could tee off from right here if I want, run some pressure up into the cab without depleting any air out of the airbag system, or not depleting, but taking pressure away from the system that would be helping the bag stay inflated. Unless I'm driving, then it's going to be kind of active and using pressure up pretty quick, but any pressure I have going into the cab is not going to be used for very many things except for operating. I got an air ride seat base put in the future, and then I might just have like an accessory air connection just for blowing off my seat or whatever. So that still works real good. Check valve to keep the pressure up in the airbags. And yeah, I'll add another one of these T's right here in the future, run it up into the cab, operate that air ride seat base, and give me a place to hook up for some compressed air for cleaning. I'm not going to be able to run too much off of this. I think I'd even like to do a double pump in the future and make this work a little faster. Maybe I could run them right down right in this area, keep the tank mounted like this, maybe scooch it back a little bit, put two right there. Project for the future. Right now this is accomplished. Wanted to do this for a while now. Okay, while that's drying out, I'm going to go ahead and figure out what I'm going to do about these hood pins. Got a hood pin kit here, and I think I just want to put one right in the middle. So that's where the original latch was, and that's, well, it'll just keep it easier instead of trying to install them right here, which isn't really, you know, that's kind of low on the whole hood, and I don't want this thing like tipping out or something. I mean, I guess I could set it up where it pulls in tight, but I just don't like the idea of putting them right here. It would look better, though it is also like right on the edge. So I think I'm just gonna put one right in the middle. It's not gonna look as good. It's gonna be weird having just one hood pin right in the center, but it'll be easiest since we already got a good solid framework here for adding it. This latch just isn't working right. It's really hard to get it to release. So I'm gonna go ahead and unbolt this, install a hood pin, drill a hole. Something else I was thinking I could do is just put, like, weld a nut on the back side of this, and I could just thread a bolt in through the front, and that would look better than having a pin sticking out. Cotter pin or quick pin or whatever you call those. I think this would be kind of an awkward thing to get in behind here and weld. There's also not a lot of room. I just don't like that idea. So I think a hood pin's gonna work best. I think I'm just going to run into an issue with the way this pivots. When it comes down onto the pin, it might not line up as it's coming down. So I might need to wallow out the hole a little bit, or up in here, wallow it out so there's room for the swing of this hood to clear the opening. I guess we'll just I'm gonna have to find out. But either way, I'm gonna start by getting this junk out of here. Alright, got a fresh surface to drill a new hole through for the hood pin. We'll start by putting the hole here first, and then I'll use that as a guide to go through and line it up on that piece down there. Just going to center up a spot between these two bolts in line with the bolts. That should be center on that. I could just cut this off, but let's drill through it. Bolt center is 2 1/4. So it'll be 1 1/8. Drill all the way through to make a mark. So I can do this. pin. Find some washers for this. Once I get everything all figured out here. Let's just see how it looks. Oh, I need to open up the bottom. I need to come down. Could even just weld the nut on the back of this plate and then it'll sit straight. But I'm gonna go ahead and just cut out a chunk of this opening so the nut's not sitting crooked. Alright, got that opened up. Nice and smooth. No sharp edges. Should have done all this before pressure washing. Oh well. Not too big a deal. Just got a few drops of WD-40 I need to clean up with some rubbing alcohol. I was using WD-40 to help cut the plates. All right, that's better. I got plenty of room for that nut to sit flat. All right, that's not too bad. Still kind of weird looking, just like I thought it would be. That pin right there, but yeah, that's not too bad. I can get used to that. And later on, I could probably find a pin that lays flat, and or eventually just take this pin out and put a bolt in there easily. But for right now, that's awesome. That solves my hood latch issue. let that cure up for 24 hours. And then I have to open this up. Gotta widen it or lengthen it at the bottom a little bit so this can pivot over that pin. Lines up perfect when it's shut, but as it's tilting outward, it wants to hit that bottom edge. So, and that is fine. This pin's got plenty of length on it to sit across the hole that's a little bit wider. All right, just a little widening on that hole and it works perfect. I like it. Alright, I guess I could just fish that through the grill. And then I can keep from losing this here pin. That's not bad. Not the prettiest option, but it works really well. Yeah, I can live with that. I like it a lot better than I thought I would. Yeah, I was thinking that would look kind of awkward just having one centered versus two on each end, but boy, that just turned out so well. I'm glad I did that. Very cool. All right, it's been on my list for a while now to get a bracket made for the bumper. I've mentioned at least a couple times in the past that this lower bracket for the bumper mount was missing, and I've been wanting to make one for a while. Piece of flat bar here, clamped it in the vise and whacked it with the mallet till I got that shape. It wasn't the cleanest corner. It was really hard to bend 1/4 inch. Flat bar, 1.5 inch wide, but it actually turned out perfect. Just so happened to be the shape I needed to avoid the hole, because coming right off this piece of frame here, coming straight off of that, it runs into the hole there. So this shape was actually just happened to work out perfect because it comes down and gives me clearance for that hole. It doesn't line up here very well, but I could still get a bolt in right there and have enough meat on that to get, I mean, it's pretty solid right now. I just, you know, just in case I'm ever standing on the bumper or I get a little fender bender or something, you know, I want that support there just for peace of mind. So it's not the biggest issue. So yeah, that just so happened to work out perfect. And there's my new bracket. It's kind of bugging me. I was tired of looking at that on my list. So I'm glad I got that done. So we'll bolt it on here, and then if I ever make it to a junkyard, I'll just snag one of those and swap it out. Or if this one ever shows up, I can't remember. I kind of got the feeling that that was missing from the get-go, and I'm not sure if I lost it or, yeah, I think it was missing in the first place. So either way, if it shows up, I'll put it on or replace it down the road, but this will be a good temporary solution. All right, happy with that. One more thing to cross off my list. Would have preferred putting a little bit bigger bolt here, but I didn't have a lot of room on the edge of this piece, but grade 8 bolt, good and strong. Should be plenty. Used one of the chrome bolts, chrome round head bolts from the back bumper, since that's not going back on the back. I'm gonna do a custom thing there. But yeah, I like it. Happy with that. All right, bumper briquettes done. Only thing left to do in this video is get this front cap painted. I'm gonna mask everything off, get it painted. Was thinking about painting these bumper side caps or corner caps black, paint them gloss black, kind of hide some of this bodginess, but I can always paint it black later. I want to see what it looks like with everything Ford gray. So I'm gonna have to go around and mask things off. I'm gonna primer some things. Mask off this window edge. Go right about there, right above the sealant. Try and hide that a little bit. Let's see how it turns out. All right, you guys, that is looking fantastic. Glad I went with the full gray instead of painting these corner caps black. I think it looks a whole lot better. Like the rest of the RV, it is not the best painting job. I got runs everywhere, but I just wanted it painted with a good thick coat, everything covered. And yeah, I couldn't give a shit less. The roller was leaving lint everywhere when I first put it on there, and I just kind of quit caring. You know, I was trying to do a good job with the brush going around, but as soon as I started with the roller, I was like, I just don't care. If I could do it over again, if I could have afforded it, I would have bought me one of those airless sprayers, high pressure sprayers that you usually use for like painting houses and stuff, because I really don't want to have to thin out the paint, try and get the mixture right or whatever. I like how thick it goes on. I do have one of those air sprayers, paint sprayer, but you have to thin out the paint, and it just sounded like a big fucking headache, and not interested in that. I'd rather just spray it on with one of those high pressure sprayers. And yeah, if I could do it over again, I'd mask everything off and just spray it. And there's just a ton of bugs out here, torching all the ones I see so they don't crawl around too much in the paint. I'll wait for it to dry, then I'll pick them off just real quick so it doesn't bubble up the paint or anything. So yeah, it's just a quick get it done job, and yeah, and I just couldn't be happier with that. I think that looks awesome. Yeah, you can still see the lines, and you can see some you know, the chunkiness where some of the stripe peeled off, but boy, I just don't care. I think that looks great. You know, away, I'm going to spend all that time stripping these stripes off. It's not just the stripes, there's also this whole thing. This is a whole big, you know, sticker or whatever, so that's a line that's either not going to go away, or I have to peel this entire thing off or sand the whole thing. It's just, yeah, ain't no way I was gonna put any more effort into that than just getting it done. Nice thick coat of paint, that's all she needed, and boy oh boy does that ever look good. I like that I decided to paint that after all. So there she is, looking mighty fine. Just need to get those headlights and headlight covers. Oh, those need to get painted too, don't they? Well, at least I could paint them off the RV, just set them on the table or something. Headlights, headlight covers, the grills. Turn signals, side lights. I am going to keep working on the outside stuff though. I would like to go ahead and move on to the flatbed next. I want to get that done. I want to get everything outside done. Flatbed, and then some kind of bumper so I can mount the taillights, and then maybe kind of do what you see on semi trucks on their trailers, where they have this bar that hangs down just in case I get rear-ended, nobody comes up and under and hits the gas tank. So got a bit more welding to do on that flatbed. I want to make it so whatever I put down for needs to get pressure washed too really bad. Whatever I put down for paneling is easily pulled up so I can access the top of the fuel tank. So I'm gonna do like 1.5 inch square tube with panels. They're probably just bolted down. I could unbolt and lift it up if I need to get to something, or maybe I'll just do a hatch. But I mean, yeah, I could just do like a couple hatches, one for the air compressor. Actually, I don't actually need to get at the air compressor. There's a lot of room to get to that from down below. So it's mainly just the top of the gas tank I need a hatch for. So anyway, got some figuring out to do on the flatbed, but I do want to move on to that next, I think. So anyway, that looks so much better. Got some repainting to do. Still got some overspray. I'm gonna pressure wash the whole RV and give that one more coat, or at least do some touch-up coats. I don't know if I want to go. I don't know, because if I do a full repaint, I'm gonna need to mask off all the windows again, which isn't the biggest deal. But yeah, a little bit later. We might have some rain coming up. We're still not into the driest parts of the year yet, so I'm gonna put that off. Really, I just want to do one more coat, at least in these areas. Maybe you don't have to recoat the whole RV. You just do touch up. I'll pressure wash really good and see how things look. This I thought really needed a recoat, but then I pressure washed it and it cleaned up really nice. So I don't know. I think I might do a full recoat. We'll mask. There's just a few windows, mask everything off. I want to do it before I put in any light fixtures, because then I have a whole lot more things to mask off if I decide to paint down the road. And I really would like to get one more coat on the body, especially in the areas where there's overspray. And but we'll see. We'll see how extensive I go on that. I would really like to just make that an easier job by just doing the areas I need to. But then I feel like nothing's going to match. But then it really doesn't matter. That's the beauty of patches. Doesn't need to be perfect. For this, you know, I'd like to repaint that whole front piece right there. I did a couple touch-up spots. You can see it's like real glossy compared to the rest. So I don't like the touch-ups. They stand out too much. So I'd rather paint like either the whole thing or big sections, or just not at all. Clean it up really good. But yeah, I'm gonna give it a pressure wash, and we'll at least do probably gonna repaint the RV at some point completely. Give it one more coat on the body, just because that's steel. I want to make sure that was a good coat. The front here I did some touch-ups because there's just a couple spots that didn't get fully coated, and we just had a couple specks of rust. So and there's, I mean, it did turn out okay, but there are just, yeah, here's a spot. I don't even know what happened there. It's like it chipped off, I guess, or something. Yeah, something hit it, whacked it. Anyway, I'm gonna repaint at some point this year before the lights go in, so I don't have to worry about masking everything off, or masking a whole bunch of more stuff off. So anyway, she's looking good. Let me know what you guys think. I love it. This has turned out so awesome. All right, on to the next project. Stay tuned, everybody. Got lots coming up.